Hi anyone and everyone who wants to watch this video. Like I already put in the description, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm making this video because I actually want to point out a point about this game. And it's ironically a funny point that you would not think people would ever get, that you think people would get mixed up. It's sad in my own opinion that I want to make a video on this, because honestly by this stage, I'll say this, and I'm saying this right now. I'm advancing, and I'm saying this in advance. I'm not trying to make this video to basically piss people off. I'm not trying to make this video to try more or less making fun of people. I'm not going to be saying no one's names officially in the video, but I just want to put that clearly out there. Without further ado, I'm going to get to the point. So there's clearly a problem that I can point out in this game that people don't think about from a point of view. I'll start with a weapon just for the fun of it, but then I'll actually move on to the actual problems. So I know that ain't like the easiest thing to see, but literally the game has small little arrows that are basically between each sentence. So like, for example, the first thing is base combo plus 100%. Then it's fire plus 60, wind plus 60, rain negative 30, ice negative 20, rank sword skill force plus 15%. If under remaining HP is 50%, rank 5 sword skill force is 20%. And it has an arrow between each of those, just basically more or less an easy way for Cyberset to basically split each of these up to where you'd be able to perfectly understand that technically you don't lose. Like, the negative ice element is always the rank 5 sword skill force plus 15% is always active on you, and they put the arrows there to let you know that's always active, unlike the following one, which is if your remaining HP is below 50%, rank 5 skill force plus 20%. So you technically do more damage. So you're under 50% with this scar you quit, for example, you will do technically 20% more damage. You can drop below 50% of your HP. Then you're doing extra even more damage. You could drop below 25% of your HP, which you'd be by that stage doing a maximum amount of damage of 60% extra damage when using this sword at low HP. Now, to get on to the actual real problem that I've seen people literally make a mistake of are two Magatamas. These two Magatamas, I'm going to point this out right here, right now. And if one is found default, where it has the problem of what people are thinking the problem is, then that automatically forces both Magatamas to have the same problem. So with this Magatama, the best Magatama in the game, as most people would call it, the first thing is rank 5 skill force plus 140%. Second thing is if remaining HP is 50% or more, attack plus 10%. Then it has physical defense afterwards, magic defense afterwards, above 25%. Now, that's not the problem, but like I said, the other Magatama that I'm going to point out, people declare that the problem would be something that would be the problem with this. If we were to go by the other Magatama's concept, then that means this Magatama, when she dropped below 50%, you'd lose your defenses. Because I can clearly point out, and I have had people say this to me multiple times, because they're not able to, like I said, I did not make this video to basically try to make fun of people, and I'm not giving names. But this clearly tells me the players on Onigiri do not, and I repeat, do not know how to read. So the first thing on this Magatama is max HP plus 3000. Second thing, max SP is plus 300. Third thing, slice element plus 20. Fourth thing, pierce element plus 20. Fifth thing, impact element plus 20. Sixth thing, movement speed plus 10. Seventh thing, If her main HP is 90% or more, movement speed plus 10. 8th thing, attack plus 10%. If you were to ask people about these Magdamas, they'd tell you that you get negative 10% to your attack when you drop below 90%. If that were to be true, and I mean this down to letter, then that would mean, once again, the quote-unquote most powerful mags are as weak as that Magdama, because you are losing all of your bonuses once you drop below that 50%. The problem is that you actually understand the concept, and you actually do understand there's arrows there to tell you, like, hey, this is not part of this, or this is not part of that. Which is clear evidence, perfectly down to the letter, that clearly shows you. You're going to have people who think otherwise, and I mean this down to the letter, and I'm going to show in this video, because I technically do have Master Magdamas, the ones that basically have the, when you lose 10% of your HP, you lose 10 movement speed. As everyone can clearly see with me, hold up. With me holding this headless Sunda, I have 85 movement speed. My attack is 7,644. If I go over here to this build, which the only thing that's changed is I now have 2 Reduxes instead of 3 Master Magdamas. I basically only got this Master Magadama equipped, so that way I can technically have this Void equipped. As you can see, I lost about 1,000 damage. Most of that is because I have the other 2 Master Magdamas ornamented with Lightning Skull, and people say when you have 3 Reduxes, you should never ornamentation your Magadama. You're only supposed to ornament the quote-unquote 4th and final Magadama that you have equipped. Because any more than that, you would not be completely out of chalk, or even if you're at 1-4, even if you were to be at the cap level of 140. Now then, I'm going to do this little trick. I'm going to switch between this sword just for me to lower my quote-unquote character's HP. Hopefully I don't get the bug where I take myself. Good. Now let's look. Okay, so I dropped down to 5,642 damage. So the Reduxes right now are technically giving me the negative 10%, are giving me a negative 20% damage buff. Okay, now let's look at the other weapon. The one that's supposed to take away the 10, so technically this would be a negative 30% damage buff. As you can clearly see, I'm still higher damage, even being below 50%. Now let's look at my movement speed. Hey Bob, what do you know? My movement speed is down by 70. So I'm no longer up by, let's see, 80, 90. I'm no longer having 100 movement speed in my character because I'm now hurt. Weird. So again, like I state, I more or less made this video because of this one reason. People do not read the concept, and when they do read it, it only works. They only read the part that works. Best mag in the game, best mag in the game. There's no way things are buts. This is the best mag in the game, that they cannot be beatable. Reduxes are the golden horse of Onigiri. You cannot beat the game if you don't have Reduxes. Man, I feel so fucking slow. Man, I wish I had my I wish I would have made a lunch trap sword because I'm so fucking slow. Man. Let's see. Let's take a phone. Let's see. I'm going to take my phone. Oop. If I actually go to the right thing. Let's see. I want to do a. How do I do? Oh, there it is. I'm going to do a stopwatch. I'm going to put a stopwatch on, and let's see how long it takes me to run from here all the way over to my all the way over to the energy dungeon. Let's see what my stopwatch starts at. Seventeen 54. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to heal myself. And I'll even use this, so my movement speed is about roughly the same. 1754, 17 seconds, 1754 was my timer. Let's see how long it takes. Man, without a question, I don't even care. No wonder I don't care about redoxes or cared about running redoxes. Wow, I was able to make it all the way to here within the same amount of time that took me to basically run with the stupid ass redoxes. And just in case anyone wants to say otherwise, I'm going to reset that time. I'm going to reset that timer. And I'm going to run off my happy ass all the way back over there. And I'm going to basically basically set up the stopwatch because I want to see exactly how long it takes me to fully run from point A to point B. I want to see how far I make it within 17 seconds, more or less. How long it would take me to run this whole entire timer. And remember, people, this is a clear factor that you'd have to count against redoxes. I'm sorry to say it, but if I can literally not even bring out a mount right now and switch to my mount at the current moment, then that means movement speed is quote-unquote a little bit better in Onigashima, where most people would be to farm anyways. So you'd have to basically take that into comprehension. Again, I'm going to not use my Abyss staff, even though it makes 0 sense for me not to. Let's see. I'm going to start the stopwatch at the exact same point that I literally had to stop it at the redoxes. Wow, we're already past the point of... Sheesh, I literally made it to here within the same amount of time that it took me to run from that little statue over to the warding dungeon. That it would have took me to run the stupid ass knowledge mags to make it that little bit of distance. Now, sure, you didn't have some people I'm going to have probably some people saying, well, you could also just run a lunge step sword. Yeah, there's only one problem. That single problem is, okay, so if I have my Master Magatamas equipped, which I'm only equipping the Oni Dagger just for the fun of it, it took me less time to run over here. It's going to take me the same amount of time to replace my Oni Dagger that doesn't take you to replace your lunge stat. So literally, boom. Same amount of time just got wasted to equip a fucking useless ass weapon just for a small run. Just for all that little bit of a small run and all that dumb shit. Just for me to basically run like 2 miles. Just for me to switch over to this one sword. Just to basically have one whole run. Just to basically switch off the sword because it's my lunge step sword. Or for you to switch off the Oni Dagger or whatever. The problem is, with how strong these Magatamas are when you're at full HP, you have capped movement speed no matter what. So there's no reason for me to even make... So I mean that's down to letter for anyone who wants to watch this video. There's no reason for me to ever truly make a lunge stat sword with your hair if you're choosing to run Master Magatamas. Master Magatamas basically tell a lunge stat sword to go fuck yourself, basically. There's no real reason to have a lunge stat sword with these Magatamas equipped, because you're never going to need it. You're never going to ever truly 100% need that lunge stat sword, because it's never going to come into play. It's going to take me longer. It'll take you longer to switch out that lunge stat sword than it would take you to get to the dungeon. There is no way around it. It's going to take you longer to switch out your one single lunge stat sword with your current weapon that you have equipped right now than it would take you to actually just run into the dungeon. Now, sure, if I wanted to make a slice thunder weapon, sure, lunge stat sword would actually be not a bad weapon. The problem is, if you wanted to make a slicing / thunder weapon, like if I wanted to make let's say a cross on like one of my alternate characters for fun and basically use it as actual battling weapon, it would make more sense for this character. That character would make more sense to basically be more or less used just like the Redoxes, because that character ain't running Master Magatama. This character is running Master Magatamas, So it makes less sense for an actual smarter player to need a lunge that sword, or even waste that 5 seconds of using a lunge that sword. I've even timed most areas with my friends. Like, they could literally. I've had a few of my friends basically on purposely run up here to the crystal to get to like certain things. Like, let's say going to Saiyan. It takes them almost the same amount of time that it takes me just to run to Saiyan. And I'm actually talking about running there, not using the crystal. At the time, if I choose to take the crystal with them, I'm already long in the fight. I'm already sitting around for a good 5 to 6 minutes just waiting for them to walk in. Basically, I've already was like, fuck it, I might as well kill Satan myself for fun while waiting on their character to slowly make the trip. And even if you got someone who has lunge step and triple lunge step and 2 Thunder Beast, by the time they catch up, I would already killed Satan or Kaguya and been out of there by the time they would even catch up. Well, Kaguya's dungeon would be a different story because it's a whole entire dungeon, but if it was a single boss fight like the Oni mode version is, I'd already be long done with the dungeon by the time that single player would catch up. To be honest, I like that Cyrus that gave us these different basically slots. It's one of the reasons why I have half of them unlocked for my character. I don't have it set up the way, but eventually I would have this one. I love messing around way too much, I swear. But basically, I'd have eventually this one would be more or less me wanting to run my Firebug Magatamas. This would be me wanting to run more a different type of Magatama. This would be me wanting to run another Magatama. This would be me wanting to run, as you guys can see, the Oni Dagger, only the Oni Dagger, etc., etc. This would be basically different builds that I choose to run. Like, sure, if I want to go more wind or ice or fire, I guess I'd quit the Reduct. I guess I'd run over to the energy dungeon and basically quickly swap to that, basically being like, okay, I'm ready. And then I kill whatever that's weak to fire or wind or ice faster because I already have it set up instead of fucking wait. And then going back to my Master Magatama build when no one needed for anything else. The problem though that I would have to declare, and I mean this down to letter, and I'm not trying to say this is a good thing or a bad thing because it's up to a player's view on it. But really, the way that I tried to build these Magatamas, the only thing I'm missing that I'm not getting a plus in is literally Mountain and Wind. Those get a plus, well, these Magatamas are giving me a plus to everything. And then my last intention to put on them is going to be, which I don't have on the mags right now, is going to be the same thing that I got on my 4th mag here. Which I know some people would say it's dumb, but why not have durability reduction? I care about durability reduction more than I care about surviving the fight, because half the time it's not so much can a boss. Honestly, in my opinion, when I've been playing this game for about 7 years now. Before anyone really wants to see, before I really have it, anyone tried to tell me how to play the game at all, I was playing the game just fine. The only true problem I would really say having low vid is going to give you is lower HP than someone else. It does not really matter if you have lower HP though, because if you were to somehow be able to get a hold of Cyberstep, and I guarantee they'd say the same thing. All bosses do a set amount of damage based on the amount of defense that a player has and the default defense that a player would have. So you having reduxes, you technically should almost be taking quarter damage from a boss, unlike right now to where you'd be basically taking 0 damage from those same exact bosses if you were to have reduxes. But then the key detail and the key problem comes into play. A friend of mine actually had a maxed out character with maxed out vet once, and they actually had all the fated contracts that they could ever get on their character. That character basically was unkillable. And then, like my friend actually said, who was running the build, yeah, it's a good build, but there's one true problem. If you're spending 80%, if you're spending more than half your time, if you got someone who's trying to heal you and they're spending 80% of the time just trying to heal you instead of actually dishing out damage, then honestly, in the long run, you're slower. Your team's going to be slower than someone who has 5 DPSers. Which is going to be common sense because you're going to have 5 DPSers. And knowing that once his HP starts to drop and he gets below that 50% marker, if he were to run reduxes with that build, he's never going to. He's going to need to sit back and heal himself to get above that 50% threshold again. But you're not. But most people are not going to basically sit there and just heal themselves above 50%. They're going to try to go from zero. If you're below 50%, you're going to go back to 100%. If you're anywhere around 150%, you're going to go to 100%. It does not matter. You're going to go back up to that 100% regardless. So it does not really matter in the long run. The fact where it really matters is, okay, if I'm about to fight a boss, as long as I don't get random RNG, freaking quote-unquote RNG lag in this damn game, which the game's good for, as long as I can get that perfect block, even if I don't get the perfect block, as long as I can get my guard up, I'm taking half damage. So let's add up the calculations. If I basically block and I don't have any intention of healing myself until I see myself in critical condition, aka when my health is blinking red, because that's rare, or if not lower than that, depending on where I want my HP to be in the fight. Because I would test the boss and see how much damage he takes from me before I even declare, like, okay, I need to heal myself. I'll go into fights and I don't care. I'll go into a fight and literally test out to see how much damage I'll take from a boss before I really care, before I would really declare caring about healing myself. I don't care. I'll take a random death in a fucking boss fight just to see, okay, can this boss on hell one-shot me? No. Okay, so that means I don't really need to worry about being one-shot. So what's it take me down to? Okay, so he takes me down to 5,000. So if I get hit one time, he's almost guaranteed to hit me if he touches me a second time. The problem is GG on hit me most of the time. The first time, if I'm not, I'm purposely letting the boss hit me. Once I realize, like, okay, so I just need to evade basically to getting hit. Once I realize, okay, so if I take one hit and I'm down to measly 5,000 HP, I'm going to focus more on my quote-unquote evasion chances more than I'm going to count on quote-unquote trying to hit the boss. But then again, when I do that test, I'm going to basically just walk up to the boss and basically just allow the boss to smack me without me pressing the guard button to cut down some of the damage values. So it still comes down to this thing so technically, I could survive, who knows, maybe an extra 2,000 worth of damage because I chose the guard instead of just flat out taking the hit. Just long run, in my own opinion, if anyone were to take anything from this video, if you do watch the video to this point, literally before you basically try to make someone else's build or try to mimic people's builds or copy other people's builds, try to learn the build, understand the build, realize what the build is called, where the build has its problems, realize where the build has its flaws. I've seen multiple times where people like to say on videos saying, I tested out all theories on this build to basically make sure this is how it works and this is how it should work, blah, 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 blah. I tried every odds and in detail with it. No, you didn't. If you really spend all the time analyzing the build, then the build should be perfect. Then the build should be impossible replicating or even making better otherwise. Just like I'm sorry to say, there for a while I was playing the game called First Ascended. Everyone would say, oh, well, this is the build you want to go with your sniper to do the most damage. Weird, when I actually tried to do an older build that I found with the glowing sword or afterglow sword sniper rifle, that did give me a build of basically tossing a single bullet away and then shooting you do more damage. I tested that with Serena's new sniper rifle, and I was actually able to hit harder with that build than the build that everyone got given me, saying, make sure you hit the weakness. Well, I'm already aiming for the weakness for one, and weaknesses seem to have a, and I mean the sound of the letter, a hidden factor that is not technically told to the players, which aka means a hidden cap. With that being said, later.